If you're planning on applying to medical school in this cycle or the next, then this video is for you. I know people who have received 4 straight rejections before interview because they didn't follow these rules. So if you follow these steps, you will dramatically increase your chance of successfully getting an interview at the medical schools you apply to. I followed these steps myself, and I went from getting 1 interview in my first cycle of applying to 3 interviews in my second cycle. Hey guys, if you don't know me, my name's Sunny. I'm a second year medical student at Kent Medway Medical School, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how you should apply to medical school to get interviews and to get in. I realised after getting rejected from all 4 medical schools that I applied to, the place where I went wrong was where I applied to. The thing is, all medical schools have a different style of admissions or a different entry process, and you need to know exactly who you're applying to and what they're asking of you, because when you know this, you'll be able to better select the schools and increase your chances of getting in. Essentially, universities don't have time to interview everybody. This is why they need to use the data available as a first filter. You need to make sure that you get past this first filter so they can get to see you in person and see what a great pick you'd be. So these are the things that you need to look out for, that the universities will use to filter out who they decide to give an interview to and who they decide to reject before interview. GCSEs, subject and score. A-levels, subjects and score. UCAT score, BMAT score, and a couple universities also like to use this form called a roles and responsibilities form. Now, within all of those different metrics, different universities also like to use these metrics differently. This is the most important part, so listen up. For simplicity, I'm going to give them a categorical name, but even within these categories, different medical schools do different things. You can have your points-based universities. These are universities that will take your scores or take your data and then allocate a score for each one of your data sets. For example, Queen's University Belfast, where one of their filters is GCSEs, and what they do is, depending on what grade you get at your GCSEs, they'll allocate you points for them. So here it says you'll receive 4 points when you're awarded an A star or a 9 grade, 3 points for an A, 2 points for B, and 1 point for a C. And so the way you'd apply with that knowledge is thinking, well, if you got straight 9s, this is definitely a good university to apply to because you'll get through that first filter. But if you have not as many 9s, then maybe you're better off looking at a different university before coming back to this one thinking that you should apply there. Another style of university is a stage-based application process. An example of a stage-based application process would be Kent and Medway Medical School. And so at each stage, if you pass at that stage, then everyone is level again. There's no cumulative effect in your application. It's just, do you have the correct GCSEs? Yes. Okay, you go through to the next stage. Do you have a UCAT above the 44th percentile? Yes. So you go to the next stage. And if at any point your answer is no, then you are out of the race. Whereas in another points-based medical school application process with Hull and York, they allocate you points again for each different thing. And as you can see on the screen now, it says when your UCAT score will be converted into points for a maximum of 40 points. Your top GCSEs will allocate you points for a maximum of 30 points. And then your UCAT SJT band, 15 points, and contextual data up to 15 points. So whereas at KMS, if you don't pass the UCAT, then you don't even get compared on your GCSEs or vice versa. And so these are the things that you have to be aware of when you're picking your universities. There are lots more different types, and I'm sure there are universities out there that mix it. For example, they can have a stage base where they're like, we have a UCAT cutoff. If you don't pass this stage, then we won't look at your application. But then past that stage, maybe then they start to add points where they compare your GCSEs, your A-levels, if you have them or you're predicted, and then they decide if they want to interview you. But the whole point is you have to look at these specific things. You can't just look at entry requirements and if they have a UCAT cutoff, because that's not all they're going to be doing, and this information is usually available, so you should definitely use it to your advantage. And then when you have all this information, you need to make sure that you play to your strengths. Me personally, I have very good GCSEs, and I had already had achieved my A-levels when I was applying my second time round. I didn't have a good UCAT score, And so the way I applied was definitely molded by these characteristics, as it should have been. And then when I did this, I managed to get 2 offers. But when I didn't do this, I got 4 rejections instead. And I don't want that for you guys. So you need to make sure that you have a good look before you apply. So my actionable steps for you would be to write down all of your statistics and then highlight the ones that are strong and the ones that are weak. And then get a list of all the medical schools that there are in the country. And then you can make a short list, or at least remove the universities that you know you definitely don't want to apply for. And then after that, go through each of the universities left, see what their entry requirements and their admissions process is, and then see if it lines up with your strengths. If it lines up with your strengths, that's good, you should definitely apply there. But if it doesn't, then maybe hold it to the side and think, I'll apply there if I have enough universities which already play to my strengths. There's no need to play a risky game when there are safe options available. I didn't apply to Hull and York because they had a higher weight on the SJT, and I got band 3 on the SJT, so I was like, I definitely shouldn't apply there because it's not playing to my strengths. Whereas at Kent and Medway, when I saw that they liked it when you had achieved GCSE, when you had achieved A levels, they liked it when you had strong GCSEs, and it was a stage. So as long as I was above the UCAT threshold, even though my UCAT was a bit iffy, I knew that that wouldn't come back to bite me. So I knew that I was good at every stage, and so I was like, I should definitely apply here. For a school like Manchester, where they have a high UCAT threshold and your application isn't considered if you're below this threshold, I was like, I definitely shouldn't apply here because I'm not even going to get an interview, or they're not even going to look at my application past this one filter. And these are things that I can't stress you have to look into, and it's usually always there. All you need to do is go to the website. Another tip I have is to use medical school comparison websites. It allows you to select multiple universities and have a look at all their entry requirements and admissions process if it's available, as well as a few other details around the universities and what living there could be like. And the ones that I suggest for this are the MedicMind medical school comparison site or the Medic Portal medical school comparison website. I'll have both of these linked in the description. I prefer the MedicMind one because it just looks better. So let me show you guys what that looks like now. So as you can see, we have the site here. Say I wanted to look at Manchester, Kent and Medway, Keele and Cambridge. I think you can do up to 6, but we'll just stick with 4 for now. And then we'll press compare. And then it gives you key information like contact, gives you the course information and the style. And then when we scroll down a little bit more, there's university life, there's their style of interview, when their interviews usually run till, the admissions test and how they use it. And so for example at Keele, applicants score with the bottom 20% for the SJT and 1.5 will be automatically rejected. So if you know this is your score, don't apply to Keele. Conversely, for Manchester it says if you score in the top third and your SJT is 1 or 2, then you're likely to be interviewed. That's a very encouraging information. But if you're not in this description, then maybe Manchester isn't the place for you to apply to. And so you really need to have a deep look into things like this, the comparison tool, just to get a broad overview. And then after using the comparison tool to shortlist universities, then you can deep dive into their websites and have a look at exactly what they do at a step-by-step process. And I just want to show you guys this and highlight the statistics area of these sites. I'm pretty sure the Medic Portal one also has this little statistics area as well. You shouldn't pay much attention to this statistic area. One, because so many people want to apply to medical school and some of them are definitely qualified and some of them are definitely not qualified. When you see that there's a 40% success rate for people who apply to Keele and only a 16% success rate for people who apply to Kent and Medway Medical School, that can be quite discouraging. Or even on the Medic Portal site, let's have a look. Okay, so it tells you how many applicants there are per annum and then it gives you the success ratio as well. I wouldn't pay much attention to these numbers because of the sheer volume of people who actually apply to medical school. If you were to just use these numbers alone in deciding on whether you should apply to a medical school or not, you probably wouldn't apply to any of them unless it was like 80%. Anything below 50 is discouraging. So you shouldn't take note of any of these numbers. All you should look at is whether or not the application process is in favor of your strengths or not, and then whether you actually want to go to that medical school. Yeah, don't let success ratio numbers determine where you apply to, because if it was that you were using as your main metric, then you probably wouldn't apply anywhere. But yeah, that's all I really have to say, guys. Make sure you do your research before you apply to medical school, and this will dramatically increase your chance of getting an interview. Once your foot's in the door, by following the steps in my other video about how to prepare for interviews, you'll definitely be ready to make them realize that you are definitely the one to go to that medical school. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like, comment anything down in the section below, and yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video.